As F1 fans, it's fair to say the return of circuits like the Nürburgring and Imola, along with debut Grand Prix at Portimao and Mugello this season, have proven to be rather popular choices. And this mixed up calendar has not only highlighted the need to shake things up a bit in Formula 1, but shockingly, it might have also revealed that more characterful, old school tracks, rather than tarmac car parks, will deliver decent racing. Who'd have thought it? And while F1 looks likely to revert to a more normal calendar from 2021, albeit with some controversial inclusions, the fresh look to this year has prompted some to imagine the idea of taking Formula 1 to some unlikely places. And who better than the drivers themselves to come up with the most ideal tracks we should go to? So which of F1's biggest stars want to see the following tracks host an F1 race in future? The Australian Bathurst circuit is best known as the venue for touring cars, GTs and V8s. The unique layout with a tight and twisty mountain section and 2 long straights up and down the famous hill have proved to be a big hit with anyone who's ever driven there. And it's not a complete stranger to F1 either, with Jenson Button having done some demonstration laps there in a McLaren in 2011. But which of the drivers thinks Bathurst could be an amazing track for Formula 1? It's at the top of Sebastian Vettel's wish list, although he did add that he wasn't sure you would make some of the corners because you would literally fly. Flying F1 cars in Australia? Where have we seen that before? In 2008, the British Donington Park was in contention to become the new home of the British Grand Prix, after the BRDC refused to pay the race fee demanded by Bernie Ecclestone to continue hosting the race at Silverstone. Donington was awarded a 10-year contract from 2010, but failed to secure the necessary funding to host the race, and its contract was terminated before it even held a Grand Prix. The last Grand Prix held by the circuit was the European Grand Prix in 1993. That race went down in history as the scene of Ayrton Senna's amazing opening lap, which has been called one of the very best in the history of the sport. So who wants to see Donny back on the F1 calendar? It's a driver who himself pulled off a blistering first lap at Portimao recently. The Iceman himself, Kimi Räikkönen. Ask any driver about the favourite track they've visited in their career, and many of them will talk about Macau. The street circuit in the Chinese Special Administrative Region near Hong Kong has held the Macau Grand Prix for Formula 3 cars since 1983. Its combination of a challenging mountain section and a high-speed, very long straight section makes it unique, and many of F1's top stars have battled there for the prestigious win. Back in 2003, then Jordan driver Ralph Furman took an F1 car around the Macau circuit to set a new all-time lap record. But which of the young drivers wants to see F1 in Macau? Here's a clue. He finished 4th in the 2015 Macau Grand Prix. Alfa Romeo's Antonio Giovinazzi. The Brands Hatch circuit in Kent was a regular on the F1 calendar, sharing the British Grand Prix with Silverstone from 1964 until 1986. Those races took place on the longer Grand Prix circuit, but the current driver with this track on their F1 wish list thinks it would be a great idea to try out the venue's shorter Indy circuit. And the reason is all down to falling in love with the track in the virtual world. So which of F1's gaming nuts wants a return to Brands? Norris? Russell? Albon? Nope, it's F1 driver turned part-time streamer, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. There is one place, though, that almost every driver has talked about as being one they would like to race on. The fearsome Nürburgring Nordschleife. While F1 has most recently only used the Nürburgring's current Grand Prix layout, up until 1976, the more usual home of the German Grand Prix was the Nordschleife. The track is more than 20 kilometres long and features 154 corners that wind their way through the Eiffel forests. The circuit also features a 300-metre total change in elevation. Such was the challenge that F1 drivers faced in racing there in the past, Sir Jackie Stewart famously gave it its nickname, the Green Hell. While the track fell off the schedule because of safety concerns in the wake of Niki Lauda's fiery 1976 crash, it still holds GT and touring car racing, and actually anyone can turn up and pay money to lap in their own road cars during the week. Now, whilst we might dream about these tracks returning or joining the F1 calendar, In Formula 1, money talks, and like many tracks that have fallen off the calendar in the past, it's unlikely that any of these, including the new and returning tracks we've seen this year, will make a permanent return. Unless Formula 1 fundamentally changes its revenue structure to make it more financially viable for circuits to host Grand Prix, or we go down the route of one-off, invitational, wildcard, or non-championship entries, the likelihood is we'll revert to F1 business as usual. What would you like to see happen to the F1 calendar? And which tracks have we not mentioned that you think would be an ideal venue for us to race at? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this next time, make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't ever miss a video. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.